Rahu showcases us or tells us what is the focus of yours, of your life, the purpose of your life in this particular life.
Please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and please press the bell icon so that you get to know when my latest video has come. And to learn more and to find a video relevant to you, please do check out my videos list.
Hello, namaskar and adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel, Astro Assurance. I have done a lot of videos on Rahu, on various attributes of Rahu. We talked about the challenges, the strengths, and we also talked about the meaning of Rahu's aspects. I have also done a video about the focus of Rahu and what it means in your horoscope, especially because Rahu placed in a certain house, a certain type of house, also aspect the same type of house. So if Rahu is placed in a Dharma Bhava, Rahu will aspect the other two houses which are also Dharma Bhava. If it's placed in one Moksha Bhava, it will aspect to its fifth and the ninth aspect, other two Moksha Bhavas. And we also know that Rahu means the focus of that particular life, where you need to work, where you need to show your karma. So your karma for your life is more or less attributed to Rahu, is seen by Rahu. Ketu on the other hand showcases where you have already planted the Dhwaja, the flag, which means you have been there, you have done all those attributes of that house, of that sign, which needs to be done to its completion, and now you need to focus on where Rahu is. Today I want to talk about if Rahu gets into different houses, what does it mean? What are the advantages of Rahu being placed in that particular house, and what are the disadvantages or the challenges that Rahu brings about for us? And this is important because Rahu is a very misunderstood planet or planetary entity, because we know it's not a physical planet. So how do we understand where a Rahu is placed based which house it is placed in? Firstly, the meaning of Rahu in the first house, which means the karma for you or the focus for you in this life is on the self, on the lagna. Now, while the meaning is, this focus is on the self, many times the way Rahu functions is because Rahu is also hunger and greed. It creates greed for self, or it also creates situations because of which other people feel that this person is very selfish. He lives for self. He does things only for self. He or she look at relationships only when they serve him or her. Otherwise, they don't want to do enough. Or people see that particular position as that this person is more self-centered. He will take more and give less. So that comes on from because the focus is on the self. But the reason, the meaning of Rahu being in the first house, the focus is on the self, is also about leading your life in a certain manner, because of which your stature will also grow, because the first house is also your stature, how people see you. So it's a focus given to you to grow your stature in life, to do things, because your stature also helps you to do your karma. However, because the focus is on self, sometimes the focus moves away that I need to improve my stature by being dignified, by being ethical, by carrying myself in moral conduct. Many times it pushes us into different directions. And the reason being is Rahu starts off saying, okay, I'm here, you know what when I'm in the lagna, what it means. But when it gives you some energy, we don't utilize the energy to focus on self. We are too focused on material aspects. We are not focused on our correction to improve ourselves. The focus is to get other things from materialistic life, because that's what today's life is. We run around things for the growth, for this position, and to get all the luxuries in life. Little do we look at correcting ourselves or refining ourselves. So Rahu in the first house is more about refining ourselves and cleansing also ourselves, and also sanitizing self. But when Rahu gives us some energy and you don't do much about it, Rahu feels, oh, I need to give some more. Maybe then the person will understand and will start focusing on self-sanitization. Then Rahu gives you more energy, but that also adds the hunger, the greed. We can't do much about it. If we are continuing to focus on the material aspects, then Rahu gives us more. And this added energy Rahu gives us to do a karma, for self-cleansing, for sanitization, to live a life with dignity, to focus our life and increase our stature so that we can do the actual karma for our life, which is identified, which is living for others, helping others, serving others. But Rahu in the first house, the advantages, of course, the focus is there. Rahu's opportunity is there to increase your stature, to really become huge in life. But the deception which Rahu means when it's in the first house, the deception is many times Rahu doesn't allow you to look at yourself. And so that's a struggle for people with Rahu in the Lagna. How you are able to see beyond what your needs are and also look at the self-correction, self-sanitization, and use the Rahu energy to actually use explosive nuclear energy to grow your stature multi-folds, because Rahu gives you that opportunity. So if your focus is right, you are able to move beyond what Rahu is misleading you towards, and you are not misled. You are able to keep your eyes open and you focus on self-sanitization, cleansing yourself, keeping the focus on what to do rather than on the hunger and the greed which Rahu is taking you towards. Then Rahu's explosive energy, if you are able to combine them, can take you to huge heights. The disadvantage or the challenge is that many a times, because the focus is too much on yourself, you are not able to see beyond the immediate boundaries, beyond the immediate relations. You are not able to look at the big picture. And many times Rahu in the Lagna is one of the most misunderstood people. So that is a disadvantage. So people may not be able to understand you, and in general, people will not be able to see you clearly. So of course, you will have to work against the grain, and that is what Rahu in the first house means. Both an opportunity to grow multifold, but also a challenge to overcome and look at self-sanitization, self-correction. Now, what is Rahu in the second house? Rahu in the second house, the focus or the karma for the life is one, values, family values, the values which your family has grown up you with, and also to focus on how you are able to use that family values and the tradition, the principles to also earn a livelihood, not only for yourself, but also help others to live life with dignity and with ethics and with morality. But because Rahu here is in the second house of family, the family in which you are born, many times the greed that it gives you is also that you expect a little bit more from your family than what you get. And so the hunger is always left in you throughout your life, that I need more, but I don't get enough. So that feeling that I'm not getting enough is there. And because the feeling is there, so somewhere that complete satisfaction, the complete happiness, Rahu never allows you to get from your family. Sometimes the principles and values may be given to you, and that's the advantage for you to focus on your principles, focus on your values, focus on the dignity which which your family gives you, the tribe gives you, the community gives you, and also earn a livelihood. Rahu in the second house is an explosion of earning potential. You can really take your earning to a huge heights where you may never have even thought about those kind of earning potentials, and you may get. Your savings may explode also, but when you focus on the principles, you focus on the values, you focus on an ethical means to earn your livelihood. However, Rahu tends to give you so much energy. The challenge or the disadvantage is that because the focus is too much on the money or the earning potential, sometimes the principles are compromised. Rahu forces you to compromise your principles, or it gives you the impression, others feel that this person is too focused on money, too focused on his own livelihood, too focused on his own saving. He doesn't care about us. So this is a misunderstood position, more from how you're carrying yourself with dignity, with morals, with ethics, with principles, with your values. And sometimes immediate family is something which you also need to contend, because they seem not to be too happy with you. They seem not to be completely satisfied with you, because Rahu tends to make them believe that you are more focused on your earning, your potential for self rather than for others. So the advantage, surely the focus on livelihood to earn, you get your earning potentials to really raise your status through ethics and morals. But the disadvantage is that many times it doesn't allow you to move behind those challenges, beyond those focuses, and so it's a challenge throughout your life to earn your livelihood with dignity, to keep your focus on the important and to not shed your values and your principles to go on a different path. And that is Rahu in the second house for you. Rahu in the third house is a strong focus on effort. Here, the more amount of effort that you put in, Rahu will it gives you the greed or the hunger to do more and more and more. So if you have Rahu in the third house, it may give you huge, immense energy. to be able to jump out of bed, spring out of bed in the morning and go to work and achieve whatever you want to. However, yeah, you need a meaningful purpose in life. If you don't have that, then Rahu tends to scatter your energies. So sometimes you're doing this, then you're doing that, then you're doing a third thing, and sometimes you feel lost. What am I doing? Am I moving in the right direction? So sometimes Rahu in the third house also makes you feel directionless. That am I moving in the right direction? But because the hunger for self-enterprise is there, the hunger to achieve something is there, you can put in 10 times the effort if you have a meaningful goal, a meaningful purpose in life. It also tends to give you very great communication. You can be an excellent writer, very creative writer, very thinking writer also. And unusual kind of writing you can come out with, something which is very, very different from others. You can become a standout communicator. The way you communicate, the way you push your ideas across, the way you brand yourself, the way you are able to communicate what your intentions are, what you want to achieve in life can be very, very different, very, very unusual. You can be a great marketer, you can be a great brand ambassador for yourself if you use your Rahu properly. The disadvantage of Rahu in the third house is sometimes it makes you work too hard to give you results. So many times people with third house Rahu will work very, very hard to get less. Hunger is surely there, the greed is surely there, the focus is surely there, the karma to do more is there. So the karma to do something of your own rather than to work for somebody is always there. But because the results sometimes are not as good or as to the intention or to the effect that you should get, there is always some degree of also some less satisfaction in what you have achieved in life. So with Rahu in the third house, keep the focus, keep the energy high, but try and find a meaningful purpose and move towards it. And if you're able to do that and use the communication skill, give the excellent communication ability that you have to be able to showcase yourself well, brand yourself well, market yourself, sky is the limit with Rahu in the third house. And that is the result of Rahu in the third house for you. Rahu in the fourth house is a strong focus on the immediate domestic family, the family that you create rather than which you're born in. This is the physical house that you make, especially after you're married, you're establishing your own home, you have your spouse, you have your children. Maybe parents may or may not live with you, especially in the Indian subcontinent. Generally, we do find parents living with us. But the focus here is on material achievement and the domestic life. So here, a person works very, very hard for his family, to keep his family happy, so that the domestic environment is completely happy, peaceful, and has everything in life. So the person wants the best for his family and works very, very hard for his family. And in doing so, the focus is on material things. The person feels that if I get a good house, a great house, a good car, all the material benefits, all the material conveniences, then I can keep my family happy. So the focus sometimes becomes too much on materialism. The advantage is it makes you the hunger and the greed to get all the material things in life, the conveniences in life, the property, assets in life. The focus is definitely there. The disadvantage which Rahu gives you is sometimes the focus is too much on the material thing. And so the person will work very, very hard to get the material things, and sometimes the quality time that the family requires to spend time with each other, to sit down, to settle, and to be able to take care of each other's needs may not be there. Sometimes the person himself with Rahu in the fourth house may not be able to do. Sometimes the family becomes so scattered that in fact, even if you want to spend time with them, they are not there. It is Rahu's way of misleading you to continue to focus on the material things, because Rahu's focus is there, Rahu's greed is there, Rahu's hunger is there. So while the advantage is to accumulate huge assets, Rahu in the fourth house can give you multiple properties, a great house, all the conveniences in life, great assets. So when you look at your assets, they can be truly great. But because the disadvantage is sometimes the family life, the family happiness that you get, the satisfaction that you get, the peaceful environment that you get in the house may be wanting. It may also give you some unusual relationships. Either the relationship with mother or father may be unusual, or it will give you an unusual spouse, may be different from your community, may be different from your caste, may be different from your thinking, may be different from your country. And sometimes there is something unusual about also the home environment, the kind of home you have. So something out of place may be there in the home. You not have the usual home. So within your community, if everybody's home looks a certain type, Yeah, how your house may be slightly different, how your relationships may be different, or one of your key relations may also be different, or how you deal with the relationship may also be different. So Rahu in the fourth house can be a huge advantage for material asset development, but can be a challenge on the home front, how the domestic life is treating you. And that is the result of Rahu in the fourth house. Rahu in the fifth house, especially in the trine houses, fifth and ninth houses, are not bad houses for the malefic planets, especially for Rahu and Ketu. They are not the worst of houses. But the challenge with Rahu in the fifth house is because the fifth house is a tricky house, because one, it is the house of children, it is the house of romance, it is the house of what you love, what your interests are, what you truly like to do. The disadvantage because of Rahu in the fifth house could be from your material perspective, your financial situation, more than the material, the financial situation, because the fifth house is also the house of gains, but it is also monetary gains also. It is also the house of initial education. So because it gives you unusual interest, so your interest in romance will also be a little unusual. You may get attracted to those people who may not be like you, very, very different from you, different from your community, different from how your general society may look at love and affection relationship, or a love and romance relationship. You may get attracted towards unusual people, very, very different from you, maybe speaking a different language also. Secondly, it will give you very unusual likes, very, very unusual hobbies. And it may also give you a focus where sometimes you're so much engrossed in something that you like, it's very difficult to put it down. So if a child has Rahu in the fifth house, it may be very difficult for him to put his phone down if he's playing games. May be very difficult for him to put his phone down if he's got some entertainment on the phone. If he's too engrossed with his friends in the social network, it will be difficult to put the phone down. People generally who look at their phone the most, maybe with people with either Rahu in the fifth house or Rahu's aspect in the fifth house, or some relationship that Rahu is establishing with either the fifth house or the fifth lord, or maybe even conjunct with the fifth lord. So here it will give you unusual hobbies, unusual interests, but the advantage that Rahu gives you is because the fifth house is the house of presentation, performances. It can give you absolutely fantastic performances. If you're presenting in a company, if you're presenting to a board, if you're presenting to clients, if you're presenting to customers, or if you've been presenting to general society, it can make you a star. It can make you somebody who's a good presenter, a good performer. So people with Rahu in the fifth house can really do good as actors, as performers. In any performances, they can be excellent. They will also bring in something very unusual, something very unique to their performances, just like something unusual or unique in their romantic life. And so this is surely an advantage. On the flip side, Rahu may also give you children who are different from how you were brought up. So you may bring up children in a different environment. Sometimes you may have more children than the norm. So others may have 2 children, you may end up having 3 or 4 children, and you may even, for all you know, even adopt a child. Some people with Rahu in the fifth house may have their own children and yet end up with adopting the children. They may also bring up the children with very, very unusual manner. They may be extremely friendly with their children, give all sorts of flexibility to children. So the children may grow up in such an environment. They may come very different from your community, very different from your caste, very different from your religion also. That could also be because your love interest is somebody who is not from your culture. So the children will also be brought up being followers of both religions, or looking at the yin and yang of both the mother and the father, and principles and values which they bring in from both the community, both the extended families. And so very unusual romance life, very unusual children, very unusual presenter, great performer can be Rahu in the fifth house. The disadvantage can be that sometimes the energies can all be scattered into one thing. One thing catches up your attention, you give all your focus there. And so you may miss out on the other things. And sometimes very late in life, people feel that, oh, I wasted too much effort and my time on one thing, and I missed out on the other. So if you're Rahu in the fifth house, be really careful where your interest is, where you spend most of your energies, and not to scatter your energies. So friend, that is the result of Rahu in the fifth house. Now Rahu in the sixth house is a very, very karmic placement, because here with Rahu in the sixth house, Ketu goes into the 12th house. Ketu in the 12th house is also seen a placement of a moksha, or at least a potential towards moksha. So if you play a Rahu very well, then your Ketu also plays out very well when you look at it from a Rahu Ketu axis point of view. So with Rahu in the 6th house is also your Bhrigu Bhav, which means your house of your karma or karmic intentions, where the focus should be. And this is the house of service. And so your job here, your focus here, your potential here with Rahu in the 6th house is to focus on service, serving others, and through serving the others, serving the Supreme Lord. And when you serve the Supreme Lord, you keep the Supreme Lord happy, and you give up your material intentions with Ketu in the 12th house. That's where the focus on moksha is there. That's where the potential for moksha is there. Ketu in the 12th house is about giving up the world for material things. And the focus with Rahu in the 6th house is about service. But if you allow Rahu to be diluted, the focus on service could be such that you're always too much focused on your work. You're always looking for growth. You're always looking for promotions. You're always looking for more responsibilities. You're always looking to move ahead. And because of this, sometimes you make unusual enemies, or those hidden enemies who are working behind your back, because the 6th house is also the house of competition. However, Rahu gives you the energy to be able to overcome all competition with Rahu in the 6th house. Rahu in the 6th house can be great to overcome competition, to sit for competitive exams and to excel. This can give you very good jobs, very good career in the administrative services also. However, at every step that you take forward, you will find new and new competition, unusual competition, which will not be evident to your face, but people may act behind your back. So the advantage could be that you are competitive, you are able to excel, you are able to overcome competition. The focus is on service. The focus is to excel in service and to do what the Supreme Lord wants you to do and wants you to achieve. And surely a good crack at moksha itself, salvation itself. The disadvantage is making more enemies, making unusual, unnecessary competition where you are misunderstood. People think that you're too competitive, you want their space also, which is their right, you're taking that also. So unusually, sometimes without your knowledge, even some of your friends may act behind your back. So this is a tough placement if you are not able to keep your eyes open, if you're not able to use your tact and your diplomacy, and to be able to handle both your career, your job with the right focus to serve the Supreme Lord, to serve others, but at the same time, be able to look at competition, keep your eyes open, keep one pair of eyes even behind your back. That means to keep always look out on all angles and then to take it forward and to work on the team that you're working, who are working with you at home, in your career or at work, to be able to keep a good relation with them and yet keep an eye on who could be the one who may even want to spoil your chances. So the focus is on service, the focus is to do very well in career. The focus, this is a great placement for somebody who is very, very unusual in all walks of life, but definitely is a challenge to contend with competition also. And that is what Rahu in the 6th house is. Rahu in the 7th house is a great placement where Rahu's focus is on everybody else. Rahu in the 7th house is about whoever you meet on a day-to-day basis, whoever on a day-to-day basis you deal with. You have a strong hunger to be able to relate to them, to do something for them, to be able to help them, and to have a strong bond with them. But because you're so focused on almost everybody who comes in your life that you want to do something for them, you want to have a good relation for them, your expectations from them are also high, which means you also expect them to be also friendly, also to love you back, also to support you back. So the hunger and the greed is also to be able to extract from others because you feel you're giving them, you are contributing so much. But because the others may not be able to give you to the extent that you are able to give, so there is always this feeling that I'm getting less from the people that I'm working with or who I'm doing things for. Yeah, immediate family, especially a spouse relation, because 7th house is the house of relationship, that comes into the picture. And sometimes because you are doing more, or it gives you the feeling that you're doing more where you're getting less, so your relationships also suffer. And sometimes the relationship also breaks because there is not enough plus and minus on both the sides. One side is always giving more, one side is not able to give enough. And so a person with Rahu in the 7th house may even go through 2 or 3 multiple relationships before the person may be able to settle down in the life where the person feels that now it is okay. So there are lots of breakups also, a lot of misunderstanding also with the day-to-day associations. It could be somebody who is a boss, it could be your family, which means especially a spouse, it could be a partner at work, it could be somebody who's a colleague at work who you work very closely with. And so your relationship even at work may not be the greatest, and any partnership that you get into will be an unusual partnership. Even at business, at work, the way you work may be different from generally others in the same business may work. Your relationship with your spouse may be slightly unusual. Spouse may even come from a different religion, different community, different caste, and the relationship could be also unusual. Sometimes with Rahu in the 7th house, I see that the man may be a lesser bread earner than the spouse, or the spouse comes from a different environment, different background, or spouse's work could be very, very different from yours. The hours that both the husband and wife work in may be different, because of which that the time that they get with each other is less. So you're always wanting more time with your spouse and you're not getting enough. And that's why you're always wanting something more from the relationship of whoever you deal with on a day-to-day basis, but always have the feeling that you're getting lesser. However, the partnerships could be very, very unusual. They could be very, very, rewarding also. The challenge, the flip side sometimes is because it also tends to create the misunderstanding between the partners, between whoever you are dealing with. So there may be many breakups, or there may be many challenges. So there may be always this feeling that, am I being misled? Am I getting enough? So with anybody who you work with, or you're having a partnership, or with your spouse, there is always this feeling that I am not getting as much as, I am contributing. So if you have Rahu in the 7th house, it could give you a lot of good results from your partner, from people that you work on a day-to-day basis. And these people, you may be wanted by everybody else. Everybody wants a piece of you. However, the flip side is also you may not get as much as you are contributing. So be a little careful how much you are giving versus how much you are receiving with Rahu in the 7th house. Rahu in the 8th house is a very, very mystical placement. 8th house is the house of mysteries, the house of magic, house of that is not visible, the house of all that is virtual. So Rahu in the 8th house creates huge opportunities for a great career, whether in insurance, or banking, or working with the government, and get dabbling with all those things which are mysterious, which are mythical, which are magical, which are like astrology also. So there will definitely be some interest in the occult, something of the nether world, something different. It can also give you unusual fears. Sometimes you fear too much. You may be too much fearing for safety. You may be fearing too much for your investments. You may be fearing too much for security. You may be fearing something of the nether world also. And sometimes this also attracts those energies, those dark energies also. So one has to be very, very careful with Rahu in the 8th house, to be very, very ethical, not to dabble things beyond that boundary, because then you also attract all those negative energies. So be a little careful if Rahu is in the 8th house. One, too much interest in the occult, too much dependency on the occult, or too much time in the research. If you are into research, you are researching too much. If you are doing analysis, you are overdoing analysis, or paralysis by analysis. If you are working on something, you are giving too much there, and that becomes an obstacle to you. Why? 8th house is the house of obstacles. 8th house is the house of all challenges coming to you. So sometimes your focus is too much on one thing, and the problem may be coming from other side. You're not able to see until it becomes an urgent thing, unless it becomes like a firefighting. So with Rahu in the 8th house, many times you're always firefighting on some front or the other. There is always firefighting. There is always solving some problem, because mystically, out of nowhere, some challenge may come, but such opportunities may also come, and that is good thing about Rahu in the 8th house. Suddenly some opportunity comes, sudden change comes. Sometimes the change may also come through an obstacle, through a debacle also, through a loss also. But there is always a hidden opportunity in that loss. There is a hidden chance in that challenge which comes to you. So you keep your eyes open and see what is the opportunity which is coming from the diversity you're facing. So it's a very, very mystical position, very, very misunderstood position. Always firefighting, but also a great opportunity. So as long as you're able to keep your fears under control, the obstacles that you're facing, be able to handle them very well, not to push yourself beyond boundaries, either in work or any project that you're working with, a balance to what you need, and keep the focus on yourself for your betterment, the Rahu can be a huge plus point. Some of the greatest minds, some of the greatest researchers like Einstein and others have had strong energies in the 8th house, and Rahu in the 8th house, an explosion of nuclear energy. It could be one of the best placements, but it could be also one of the most misunderstood placements, attracting huge obstacles and challenges also. If you have Rahu in the 8th house, take use of the energy, which is an explosive energy, to move it forward in everything that is virtual, magical, out of the world, intangible. You can do very well. Challenge is to also be careful and be ready to know when the strike of the unseen can be there and make you run around to always dousing fires. And that is Rahu in the 8th house for you. Rahu in the 9th house is also an explosion, huge explosion of energy coming from the 9th house of fate and luck. Some people with Rahu in the 9th house can be the darling of destiny itself. Destiny can take you to places. Destiny can play a huge hand in your movement, in your luck, and how luck and fate turns out for you. Sometimes Rahu in the 9th house can also give you different educational requirements or qualifications of very unusual interest in something that you learn. This may give you something unusual from your qualification, which means your interest is in that thing which may not be a usual educational qualification which people may take. You may be slightly different from others, or you may take one qualification but end up in a career with a different area, which is different from your educational qualification. You may go to some unusual universities also, and your faith and belief may also be unusual. Such people are more spiritual rather than very religious. Their religion is to more focus on something which is to serve the Supreme Lord also, but without the rituals which are associated with prayer. These people may keep unusual friends also. However, generally there is something unusual about their learning itself. The teachers, their gurus, maybe maybe people who are different or unusual, even out of the box thinkers. They may be very spiritual also. The interest of such people with Rahu in the 9th house could also be to go towards spiritual places, which could be not from your religion also. So your religious faith and belief may also cross boundaries rather than the conventional. These people could have very good friends, unusual friends from different cultures, and you may get along very, very well with different cultures. Your friends circle will not be of one type. You will have different types of people scattered around the world also. Sometimes your associations may also be different, your qualifications may be different, your learning may be different, and your experiences will be very, very unusual. So life will throw such unusual instances at you that there could be made a Bollywood movie, even a Hollywood movie. That kind of a screenplay sometimes Rahu in the 9th house gives you. It makes you travel a lot. Sometimes it gives you one interest because of which you always want to step out or step outside your boundaries, either in thinking or in travel or in your friendship or in your education. So something definitely will be there. And this can shatter all boundaries where fate and luck can be. This can give you huge money. It can give you huge success and huge literary, achievers, masters, gurus in their areas, especially as experts, come with Rahu in the 9th house. So if you have Rahu in the 9th house, be able to milk that energy very, very well. Rahu in the trine houses is an excellent energy. So try and get more unusual learnings to your advantage. Try and have people moving towards you. Be able to use those relationships very well. And doors of fate and luck always open to you. The disadvantage surely will be that sometimes fate and luck throws those spanners at you which you are not able to contend with easily. Sometimes it takes years before you hit the pinnacle with Rahu in the 9th house. Rahu in the 9th house is also a testing time for many years and sudden explosion. Be able to identify that opportunity, be able to use that explosive energy. You will be seen as a guru, a master, hugely respected guru, hugely respected master of your area, and through that doors of fate and luck and huge respect may also come to you. That is the result of Rahu in the 9th house for you. Rahu in the 10th house is a very, very good placement from a career perspective. It may not be the best of placement from a domestic life placement because now Ketu is going into the 4th house. However, Rahu in the 10th house keeps you very, very focused on your work area. most of the time you are focused on the work area. Even if you're at home, the focus is still there. You're still solving some other problem, maybe subconsciously at the back of the mind. So something is always going on in your mind about work, related to your bosses, related to seniors at work, or some attribute of your work, some project at your work, or something which you need to complete. So the focus is always there. So always work on the mind, always career on the mind, huge hunger to move ahead in life. However, sometimes Rahu tends to make you a little impatient with Rahu in the 10th house. You are expecting more because you contribute so much more, even at the first of your domestic life, that you obviously expect more. You feel, I've put in so much hard work, sweat and blood I put into my work. Obviously, I need more and faster because I've contributed more. However, because Rahu is in the 10th house, many times you're misunderstood, or your supervisors, your bosses, your managers are not able to see your contribution, and they're not able to appreciate you enough. So here sometimes while the hunger is there for moving up faster, for growth, for recognition, for deserved recognition, it comes too slowly. And because it comes slowly, you tend to put in more hard work and tend to ignore your family and other parts of your life even more, expecting that if I put in more, now my boss will be convinced, now my supervisor will be convinced, now my manager will be able to appreciate, now my boss will be able to see the good side of me. But sometimes you may be putting in more for decades on end, and sometimes you may not get what you deserve. So a placement where you may get a lot of success, you may get huge success and sometimes explosive success, but many times it comes too late and never to the extent that you're putting in work. So in the Rahu in the 10th house, be prepared that you need to put more. The more you put in, you may get slightly lesser or much lesser than what you expect. But if you want much more from your work, you want much more from your growth, promotion, everything, then be ready that you have to put in 2 times, 3 times the effort, keep good relations with the bosses, then you may get. The disadvantage or the flip side sometimes is that your thinking may be different from how the team thinks. You may be a very out of box thinker. You may be a very radical thinker at work. So sometimes your thoughts, how you are able to present things may not be appreciated, may not even be understood. And so many times very late do the managers are able to appreciate your thoughts, what you have put across. And because they are not able to appreciate enough, sometimes the time is lost and the company or the organization is not able to use you to the extent that you are able to contribute. You can be a radical thinker, somebody who's out of the box and can bring huge changes to the organization if you are heard, if you are appreciated enough, if you are recognized enough. So a slow recognition, definitely. Disadvantages, you need to work harder on your relationship with your supervisors, and this is a key relationship with you. So with Rahu in the 10th house, be patient and be ready to play the waiting game. Rahu in the 11th house can be a darling of the society, can be a darling of social masses. Your extended network could have to be huge. You may have many people that you know. You may know many acquaintances. You may have many friends. You may have lots of friends on the social network. You may have a lot of friends or known people or acquaintances in real life also. There will definitely be one area of your life, either friends or your social circle, where people will love you, will want you, will always want a piece of you. And your relations with such society may also be very varied. You may have friend circle or acquaintances from different walks of life. And sometimes you may know people who are very senior to you in age and you call them your friend. Sometimes you may have people who are very junior to you who may also call friends. You may be able to be okay and you may be comfortable and you may do very well in any society or even any group. Even in a very senior group, you tend to hit along very well with them. Sometimes with very young people also, you are able to get along very well. You know the pulse of society, you know the pulse of the group that you are with, and you gel very easily. You settle down very easily. You hit a rapport very easily. You hit, very high good relations with almost everybody in any group. You have that good thinking capacity. So being able to gel well in any surrounding, gel well in any area with any group is this tendency. This also gives you very unusual growth in your career. Sometimes you grow very fast in large organizations, much to the chagrin of your competitors also. Sometimes people feel, how can this person grow so fast? What does he do? Is there something, wrong or something missing that I'm missing? But such people with Rahu in the 11th house can grow to huge scale and can really grow, be very, very prominent, both as career people as well as people who want to do something for society. So there is something in society which they want to change. So they have very unusual ideas, very different ideas, very radical ideas, very out of the box ideas, very innovative, creative ideas about solutions. The solutions will be different from others. Sometimes these solutions are not understood, and that is the disadvantage of Rahu in the 11th house. People tend to sometimes not be able to see for who you are. They love you a lot. They want a piece of you. They always want you around. But sometimes your ideas are misunderstood. Sometimes what you bring to the table is misunderstood. So people are not able to take as much advantage of you being in the group as much as they can. Large organizations are not able to take good use of people with Rahu in the 11th house, because sometimes understanding these people, understanding the out of the box thinking, understanding their creativity it doesn't come easily. So with Rahu within the 11th house, people will be able to convince people easily, though you may be loved by others. The other thing with Rahu in the 11th house is also about how you may be able to have different kinds of interests. With Rahu, your wishes and desires can be different from others also. So sometimes with Rahu in the 11th house, you are attracted to people not only with friends or society or social circle, but even in your friend circle or even your love interest, which are unusual tendencies also. Such people want to experiment. Such people also push beyond the boundaries of how much they can do for the friends. So such people will will cross boundaries to do something for friend circle, do something for society, or solve society's problems. Sometimes they give up their life because they find some social causes dear to them and they want to do more. Or even if you are focused on your work, there will be one cause, something in society which is troubling you, which is gnawing at you, and you want to make a change. Some people with Rahu in the 11th house will move towards it. Some people may do it more passively, but there will definitely be something in society which you can do wonders for. Rahu in the 11th house can be a huge boon for you. If you have Rahu in the 11th house, use it judiciously, and you may be a darling of the masses with no boundaries to stop it. Rahu in the 12th house is a tricky placement where you need to keep your ambitions in check, because Rahu in the 12th house otherwise can attract waste and excess, which the 12th house represents. So Rahu can give you lots of energy, boundless energy, to be able to focus on work or one thing in area in life which you really want to do very well. But sometimes you do more than is required, and because the 12th house is also the house of waste and excess, you may also do more in terms of your expenses. You are not able to hold back on your expenses. You may sleep late at night, and then you may find it difficult to get up early in the morning because you're pushing yourself to do more, to get more out of your daytime, and you push yourself more till late in the night also. Rahu in the 12th house can give you great success in foreign lands with foreign nationalities, or when you're working with foreign clients or foreign consultants. And even here your work will be unusual. You may keep unusual hours of work. You will have unusual projects that you're working with. You may work with unusual companies, or you may work with great brands in a very unusual project. Sometimes the deadlines are too much for you to take, and their deadlines are much tougher than what others may be taking or what other companies are giving you. So there is always something unusual which pushes you to put in more. It pushes you to do much more than what you are getting, and hence sometimes your effort goes to waste because you're not getting as much from your work, from your career, from your projects as much as you can also get. But if you're focusing in the right direction, if you're working with the right people, especially concerned with foreign clients, foreign companies, foreign lands, then you can do very well. Such people can also be out of the box thinkers of how you come across as assets to foreign companies, to foreign clients. Also in the medical profession, also in the armed forces, many a general, many a doctor who are out of the box thinking and who have brought breakthrough ideas are also with people with Rahu in the 12th house. Rahu in the 12th house sometimes also makes you be more unrealistic in towards your ambitions or what you want to achieve in life, because sometimes the world doesn't support you, society doesn't support you, your bosses don't support you, conditions don't support you to the potential that you have. So be real realistic, be real practical, know how much to push the boundaries. Otherwise you could end up doing much more, contributing much more and getting less. Though explosive energy is still there, but in the right direction, in the right manner, knowing how much to give and how much to get back. Rahu in the 12th house can also make you somebody who's very spiritual, looking at the hereafter also, life hereafter also. And so sometimes these guys can also be very philanthropic, give more rather than what they get, and hence that also becomes a house of waste and excess, because you're wasting all that you get, giving it off. And sometimes living it off also gives high expenses also. So if you have Rahu in the 12th house, focus your energies very well. Know how much to give, how much to wait for, how much not to waste. Work with the right people, and sky's the limit for you with Rahu in the 12th house, especially connected to working with foreign companies, foreign clients, and getting more recognition, more success abroad rather than in your home country. And that is what Rahu in the 12th house is. So friends, now that we have discussed Rahu in all the 12 houses, know where how Rahu is placed, understand that better. So very careful with Rahu in the house that Rahu is, because it could be misleading, it could take you on a different tangent, you may sometimes not get as much as you deserve. So friend, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me, the link given below. Until some other time, some other video, this is your friend, astrologer and guide, Irfan, signing off. Ciao.